Welcome, everyone. We are about to get underway. People are still connecting, so we're going to take a few minutes and let them connect. Welcome. Is it Jamina? Jamina Garcia? And did I say that correctly? Feel free to unmute and interact if you would like.
Hello.
Hi, is it Hamina or
Jimena?
Jamina? Okay. Thank you for joining us. We normally have a few other people. I'm kind of waiting for them, but if they don't come on soon, we'll get started. How did you find out about our office hours?
I mean office hours.
This Zoom meeting. How did you find out about the Zoom meeting?
Oh, on the summit, on the Animal Communication and Healer Summit.
Okay, excellent, excellent. Where do you live?
Hello.
Hi,
Nice to see you.
good to see you.
I live in Colombia, in South America.
Oh, wonderful. Well, we're so honored that you're joining us today.
It's an honor for me.
So are you an animal communicator?
Yes, I am.
How long have you been doing that?
Well, I started the training in 2017 and I finished it in 2019. And since then.
Excellent, excellent. And do you have animal Reiki experience?
Some. It's sort of like an intuitive feeling because it's like a connection to this invisible force of the universe that unites everything, that may be called love or the power of love or some kind of light feeling that embraces and contains everything. And that's where I feel everything originally comes from. It's sort of like it's a feeling, it's a sensation. And it's for me, it goes very similar to the Reiki philosophy.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very nice. I have a beep I have to shut off here. Hang on just a second.
That's all right.
There we go. Must have been a little fluctuation in the power.
That happens.
Yes. So we have been doing a presentation, a 4-week presentation. Today is our last in the series, and it's about presenting yourself, because sometimes it can be really hard to explain to people what we do in a clear and concise way. And I don't know if you've ever had that experience.
Yes.
So we were, working with people and trying to help them. And I'll just recap that and do a little bit, and then we can just do some Q&A for you since it's your first time. Whatever you would like to know, I'm happy to discuss.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
So in the first week, what we talked about is places that you can present, because you are always presenting. Sometimes we think you have to be on stage or you have to be a professional, and that's just not true. We're always presenting our message, because we all have a message. We all have a reason why we're doing what we're doing. And so we're always presenting, whether it's with a group of friends, whether it's with a networking group, whether it's, a trade show, a Zoom meeting like this, we are presenting. And we want to make sure that we get our message across in a clear and concise way, because they've done surveys and they found out that 95% of entrepreneurs, and that's all entrepreneurs, not just people in the animal field like us, cannot describe what they do in a clear and concise manner. And that's a lot of people. 95% aren't clear and concise about what they do. So imagine if you can get clear and concise and how people will respond to that.
Right. Mm-hmm.
In week 3, we talked about the power of stories. Humans, we are storytellers. And if you've, ever been to speakers, most of the time, the really effective speakers take you along on a story to get their point across. And I used to work in fire prevention, and we would have to go in and we would have training on fire codes. And that was so boring. I mean, because they would put up the code and it was just one code after another, and they would read them off. And I couldn't remember a thing at the end of it. It was just, I checked out. But if they had taken and put a code up and then told a story about how that code came into being, or, this is why this fire started and this happened. And so that's why this code was put into place. That would have had me engaged, and I probably would have remembered it more. So we want to stay away from just facts and figures. Sometimes we need to give facts and figures, but we can weave it into the story. Mm-hmm. Because stories are powerful, and they can be, we can take a story that's happened to us, an experience that's happened to us, and we can use it in many different ways. Because when we are presenting, it's important that we know our audience. For example, if you're talking to a shelter manager about maybe coming in to volunteer to offer Reiki or, communication to the animals there, that you would want to present this story in a different way than if you were in front of a group where maybe you're looking for private clients. So it would be the same story, but the ending would be a little bit different. Your call to action, what you want people to do, would be different. So that's important. And when you do a story, you only want 1 point per story. So you're telling your story, and maybe your story is animals. Maybe your message, you want people to get that animals, we can connect animals spiritually and find peace in our life. So if that was the message, you wouldn't want to also throw in something like, and, by connecting spiritually to animals, you'll find peace, and you can also help heal your animals. Those are 2 points. So you want to keep it to 1 point for people to easily remember it. So that's our goal. We want to engage with our audience. We want to connect with them. To do that, we have to kind of understand who our audience is. And we do that through the power of storytelling. Today, we are going to talk about elements that make stories effective. So there's 4 elements in effective storytelling. The first one is to be vulnerable. The second one is to use vivid language. The third one is to engage all 5 senses. And the fourth one is to show, don't tell. And we're going to talk about those briefly. So the first one, be vulnerable, that element, and with the type of work we do, we understand that ego can get in our way, right? And so we have to learn to let go of that ego, because, when we're presenting public speaking, most people are very afraid of public speaking. And the thoughts that can go on in your mind is, I'll get up there, I'll make a fool of myself. People are going to think I'm stupid. They'll know I'm a fake. I'm so ashamed to get up there. I don't want anybody to know how scared I am to be standing in front of a group of people and speaking. So you try to put on the bravado, all of those things, those are ego, and they can run through our mind. And so we have to get over that. We have to remember that that's all of these fears are just the voice of our ego. And it's that voice that wants us to play it safe. And it keeps our stories bland, unremarkable, and 100% forgettable. And that's not what we want. We want powerful stories. And those are born when we're brave enough to be vulnerable, but the ego is what keeps us locked out of vulnerability. So when we can be vulnerable, we can have powerful stories that connect to our audience. And your audience will get to know you that way. They're going to fall in love with you. They're going to trust you. And that's really important.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
The second element is to use vivid language. And vivid language draws an image in our mind. So it's critical when we want people to get images in their mind. Clear, vivid language will do that. And that keeps people engaged. They want to hear more. And they're building this story in their mind because of your words.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yes.
as examples, non-vivid language. So this sentence, my hard drive broke. Well, that's not very vivid. But imagine just saying, my hard drive crashed. So in your mind, you can, crashed is much more powerful than broke. I need more information. That is not very vivid. I mean, it does tell you what you need, but if you said something like, I need to drill down, more vivid. People can picture a story in their mind when you do that. Another one is, she walked into the room. Okay, that tells us, you're telling us what happened.
Mm-hmm.
If you say, she strutted into the room, now you've painted me a picture. I can tell the difference. So that's what we want to keep in mind, is to really use vivid language.
And provoke, like sort of like a provoking a sensation on the person, not just the receiving of an information.
Right. So you're painting a story with your words, because you can tell someone what happened, or you can paint the picture for them. You can describe, if it was something happened with an animal and you were, at a sanctuary, and it was a beautiful, warm, sunny day, or it was a dreary, overcast, rainy day, and you put those details in and you paint the picture, and then people can see that in their mind, and it keeps them engaged.
Yes.
And it's one way to make our stories more powerful.
Right.
Another technique that's really creates powerful images is the metaphor. So, that's just a phrase that instantly calls up a clear, specific visual in the mind. So an example could be, my 9-to-5 job felt like a prison sentence. Okay, so you get a very clear image when someone says this felt like a prison sentence, as to, my 9-to-5 job was hard. Something like that. So you're painting the picture again.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And that's how people really engage with you. They stay connected to the story, and you're going to be able to show, not tell. And that's another one of our elements. The next one, though, is to engage all 5 senses. So you want to describe this. You want to let us see it. What are we hearing? What are we tasting? If there's any taste, if you're talking about ice cream, or what are you smelling? Are there flowers? Are there gardenias? You want to touch on these, touch, so here's some examples that I found. So sight, I was dazzled by her confidence, which kind of talks about the sight. The sound, she dropped the microphone with a thud, so you're getting the sound in there. Taste, his feedback left me bitter. People know what that bitter taste is. Smell, her coach said all the right things, but there was something fishy going on. Okay, so you're engaging. People know what that smell is. And then touch was, his message was so sticky, we remembered it a week later. So they're painting the picture. It's vivid, it's colorful, it's alive. And people remember that. And then we have show, don't tell, the last element. That basically means you're including emotions, you're including those 5 senses, colorful descriptions, because you want a rich, meaningful experience for your audience. You're taking them on this journey. So a couple of examples I found. Kate felt anxious about her speech. Okay, but they're telling us now I know she was anxious. I've been told that, but now they're going to show us that. Kate felt her heart beating. Sweat was pouring down her back and her throat felt tight. She wondered if she'd be able to speak when it was time to give her speech. So when you can, you always want to use show and not tell. Maybe you won't use all these senses, but vivid language, bringing in the senses, painting the picture is all a great way, to get your audience engaged, take them on this journey. And
yes.
So I think that's the most important thing. Some of the most important things with storytelling is to make it, remember that you want to show, not tell, use vivid language, make it powerful, because then it's going to engage your audience and keep them interested in what you have to say. And by the time you get to your call to action, your call to action is what you want people to do. So that's always at the end. And maybe you want them to purchase something. That's when you say, your call to action. Maybe you just want them to go to your website and check it out and get a free gift. Then that's a call to action. Whatever you want them to do. If we want you to come join this Zoom meeting on Wednesdays, we ask you to come. That's a call to action. When you're asking people to do anything. And so you've painted this picture, they're still with you. If you just tell them and give them facts and figures along the way, they're probably not even going to be listening by the time you get to your call to action.
Right.
So this way they just are engaged, they're listening, and they're more likely to understand exactly what your message is, because you've looked at the story, you're telling it in a clear, concise way, you're using visuals, you're showing, not telling, and people are going to understand that. So to put it all together, you want 1 point per story. Each story can be presented to different audiences by having a different closing and call to action. The 3 most common mistakes that people make in storytelling is they don't open their speech effectively. So you want something that grabs their attention. That can be a question. It can be a quote. It could be a statement that just kind of catches everybody off guard. You want something, to grab their attention right away. Because we live in a society, like we're on our phones, right? And we're just scrolling. Oh, I've been here 2 seconds. Okay, I'm bored, so I'm scrolling on. So that's what you have to catch their attention now. You don't want many common mistakes, so they don't open it effectively. They use data instead of telling stories. Now you can effectively weave data into stories, but most of the time, you know, those speeches that are heavy in data, if you were giving a talk on animal communications and you just came in with facts and figures about animal communication, people would be probably very bored and you wouldn't get the engagement. And what a wonderful, I mean, we have a wonderful opportunity because we work with animals. And there's always stories with animals that can really draw people in. So use the power of those stories. And then the last mistake that a lot of people do is they don't have a call to action. They get up, they tell a story, they say thank you, and they sit down. Always have a call to action, even if it's something as simple as, you know, hey, check out my website if you want to learn more. That's a call to action. And when you ask for people to do something, you have to do it with the same energy that you told the story. What happens a lot is people are very passionate about, you know, their message, and we're passionate about the animals. So we're telling this story and we're very passionate. And then when we want to ask people to do something, when it comes time to that, we kind of like, well, you know, if you want, go ahead and check out my website. And we get small and we become, you know, weak. And we want to have the same energy. Hey, you could find out more by going to my website. Here's the address if you want to check it out. So you want to make sure you keep that energy the same.
Okay.
And then, you know, lastly, we have to practice our stories. We have to practice our marketing message, you know, those 30-second marketing messages that they tell you to learn. And there's a good reason for that because, you know, even if you don't go to networking groups, I've been to a lot of them, you know, I've been through a lot of speaking, and I can still get thrown off if I'm just going about my day and somebody asks me what I do out of the blue. Because when I'm going to a meeting or everything, you know, something, or I'm doing a presentation, I'm prepared. But when I'm just like, la, 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 going along my day, somebody can come up and then it's like, oh, you know, and I don't come up with it quickly. So that's why it's so important to practice these and listen to yourself, record it on your phone, on your computer. You don't have to publish this. This is for you. And you can listen to it and see, oh, that didn't sound right. Or, you know what, if I said this, that would be more powerful. You can, you know, really get a feeling of how powerful your message is.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's places to practice. So I'm going to put these in the chat. Now, I don't know in Colombia what you have, but I will put, well, maybe they're not even going to, come on. Oh, let me go back here. There's groups that you can find online where you can practice.
Uh-huh.
All right, come on now. Why isn't it coming up? So I don't know. Do you have Toastmasters in Colombia? Have you heard of that group? Oops, I think we may have froze. Probably because I was doing that chat.
That's okay now.
Okay. Have you ever heard of the group Toastmasters?
No.
Okay, I don't know if they're in Colombia, but what you could do is you could Google like speaking groups near me and see what comes up. So I used to belong to a group and we met every Monday night, and we had a coach there that facilitated the meeting, and everybody had 6 minutes and they would get up and they would speak, and it was online. So something like that you could do.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And I'm trying to, let's see if I do it privately, if maybe I can get it to you. my links are not copying. So I'm going to put some of the groups that I know of.
All right.
Oh, look, maybe they're there. What the heck? Oh, okay. Yeah, they are. All right. That's operator error. They're in here a few times. So I'll just like there. There we go. So I put some of them in there. Next Stage Communications is one that I used to go to. What I don't know the time difference for you. They're at 6 o'clock Pacific time.
You are in Pacific time at 6 and it's 6 o'clock.
It would not right now, but the meeting, the speakers meeting will be right now. I'm at almost 11.
Almost 11. Here it's almost 1, so it's 2 hours.
Oh, okay. Okay. So that would be like 8 o'clock at night for you.
Right.
Stage. And then I found some free courses online. I don't know. There, a lot of them are through colleges and they're free. So those are those links as well, which you could do again anywhere.
Perfect. I'm
So that
going.
will do the technical part, but Next Stage Communications would allow you to actually practice if you're interested in that.
I think, yeah, it has to be. I mean, and I'm interested because you're continually, all the time, like you said, presenting yourself and presenting the message that you want to give, or the information or the experiences that you want to share to people, so they know something that you can provide.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it just takes practice.
Yes.
And I like that group because they're all very positive, you know, there are some groups that get kind of, you know, critical, but this group is not like that at all. So
I'm going to take note, or how can I like keep the chat?
okay. So if you go down, see the 3 little buttons down at the bottom of the chat?
Yes, I see the chat. I see your links. But
Okay.
when the Zoom ends, do I lose information?
Okay, so down below, there's the little page, the smiley face, and then the 3 little dots at the bottom of the chat.
Yes.
Click on the 3 little dots. And you should get a list that drops down where you can, it's first thing says save chat.
Yes, I'm on the chat right now.
Okay. Do you see the save chat?
No, well, I'm actually on the phone.
Oh, okay. So hang on a second. Why don't I do this? I'm going to share my screen for you. All right. So here we are. This is the chat, right? And this is what you saw. I put it on there a lot of times because I didn't know what I was doing. Then these 3 little dots below. And then I go to save chat.
Okay. Enable meeting settings. Let's see if I can.
If you can't, if you want to put your email address in, I will send it to you afterwards.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
So I'm going to write it down.
Okay. Yeah, I'll take it off share and then you can just send it to me in the chat. And I will copy it and then I will send this to you.
Thank you very much, Jamie.
You're welcome.
Yes. Okay. I just wrote down my email.
Okay, I'm going to do it right now.
Thank you very much.
Because I want to make sure you get it. And let me just copy this. Mhm.
Let's see.
Oops, and then I doubled it up again. I'm doing a lot of that today. There we go. I just sent it to you, so you should be getting that. I want to make sure you get it before we get off.
Okay, I'm gonna update my emails. Checking.
May take it a minute to get there.
Yeah. Okay, I got them.
Okay, perfect. Perfect.
Yes. Super.
Excellent. Excellent. So that kind of is our presentation. I don't know if you have any questions on that. If you have questions on animal Reiki, any questions you might have, I'm happy to try to answer those.
One something that I heard yesterday on the summit. There are people that officially practices Reiki, and many other people find a way to heal without any name in particular, because it just happens intuitively. And my question is, some people say it is necessary to either put hands on, some that it's important to like keep hands towards the subject that we want to treat, and others say that's not at all necessary.
Right.
What do you think?
Okay, so I like to talk about it as if we're talking about human Reiki and animal Reiki. I have studied both. I've been studying I started studying Reiki, human Reiki, over 18 years ago. And I've studied from many different teachers. So I've seen both sides of it. Then I found Kathleen Prasad's method, the Let Animals Lead method, which is very different. And the reason it's different is because she found, after thousands of hours of working with animals, they kind of led her to discover what's effective with them. With a human Reiki session, okay, and if you're familiar with it, I know you are, you go in, you usually are in a dimly lit room, it's maybe soft music playing, there's a table, you lay down, you just relax. The practitioner comes in and they actually place their hands on the person, or they hover, they do things and they move around the body, and they may have you turn over. But basically, if you're receiving, you just relax and go inward and it's wonderful. And the practitioner is the one that's doing things. They're moving, they're like clearing energy, they're doing all this. Well, with the Let Animals Lead method, we started in the very beginning trying to use human techniques on animals, and they weren't that effective, because in most classes, in most Reiki classes, what people get, and everyone I've been into, this has been true, they say at the very end, oh, animals love Reiki, but they're very sensitive, so you don't have to do as long. And so people leave there and they go out and they use what they learned on animals. Well, what we've discovered is there is a method that is much more powerful. So when you're with animals and you want to offer Reiki, one, we're not doing Reiki, we become Reiki. So the practitioner goes in, they begin to meditate, they become still, we go inward, and we create this space, and we invite the animal to step in. And then we hold this space. That's all we do. We don't focus on what's wrong with them. We don't try to heal them. We hold space for them. We invite them in. And then it's the animal that moves in and out of this beautiful energy. They may, if you're having a session with one, they may move around, they may go get a drink, they may lay down, they may yawn, they may fall asleep, then they may get up, they may change positions. All of that is perfectly normal. Acceptance with animals. And animals are much more likely to be drawn to that. There was even Kathleen had gone to, who is the founder of this, she took a group of students to, I don't know where it was, but it was horses. And they had been abused or they were wild. They just really didn't like people. And she asked if they could go up there and offer Reiki to the animals. And the manager said, well, you can, but I'll tell you, we just had somebody do Reiki last week and they got run out of the pad. Horses just ran them out. And she said, well, that's okay. We don't even have to go in. We don't have to touch them. We don't have to do any of that. And someone was like, well, if you want to try it. So this group of students and Kathleen went up there and they stood outside of the corral. They began to meditate. And these horses who had just last week run Reiki practitioners out began to just relax. They came up to them, totally different experience. And after they left, the woman who managed it, she just couldn't believe it. She was totally shocked. The horses were playing, they weren't shut down, they were kicking up their heels. So the technique makes a huge difference. Can you use hands-on on your own pet? Sure. They're used to you. They're not going to be offended most of the time. I had one. She was a Jack Russell. She was 2. She was absolutely wild. And when my very first Reiki class, this was years ago, very first Reiki class, I couldn't wait to, put my hands on her and give her Reiki, but she was so wild. And finally, one day she laid down beside me. I'm like, oh, here's my chance. And I put my hands on her and she immediately lifted her head, jumped down, went across the room and glared at me. And I could never offer her hands-on Reiki again until she was in hospice years later. But what I didn't know at the time is whenever I would sit and meditate in the morning and do my self healing, she would be there clear at the other end of the couch. So she wanted to be in that space, but she was not having it the way I offered it. And she made that very clear. Now I realize that I had done everything wrong, really. And she didn't want it that way. And so I've seen it personally. I've heard lots of stories. And yes, it's just so much more effective to not use hands, only when animals initiate it. Now, animals will come up, and as well as I do, animals will let you know when they want to be touched. Usually you have a hot cup of coffee and then they're like doing this or, something like that. But they let you know. They'll put their bodies in their hands. I've had, so many animals do that. I was working with Burton, who was a nose work. He was a retired drug dog. And then he went into nose work. Just to keep his mind busy, so keep him out of trouble. And one day he was in the swimming pool and he'd hurt himself because he just gets crazy in there. And he was older, So I went over and I was offering him Reiki, and I knew his mom real well because she was a regular client. So at the end, I was sitting at the table talking to her. And I remember I picked up my keys to go. I said, well, I better go. And he gets off. He was sleeping on a window box in the kitchen. He jumped down, came over, and he backed up in between my legs. He had his hips in between my legs, and that was what was hurting. And I'm like, oh, okay, I get you. I can't leave yet. So I put my keys down. I said, you want to go back to the window box? And he went back to the window box. I went over and continued the session, for a while, and then till he was done with it. But he showed me, he just positions the only time he ever did that. It's like, no, I'm still hurting. So they will position their body when they want to be touched, but we
Okay.
never initiate it. The animal needs to initiate it. And that's, that's what makes led animals lead so different. We don't initiate touch. We don't focus on the problem like with Burton. I knew his hips were sore, but that's not what I'm looking at when I'm sitting in a session with him. I'm holding space and making a connection, and I see him as that beautiful, bright light that's inside him. Just, there's this light inside us. He has that light, and I focus on the perfection of that light. I don't even think about, oh, your back legs are hurting, or oh, you have cancer, or no, I'm not here to heal you. I'm here to focus on this beautiful bright light and hold space for you so you can step into it and heal yourself. And it's very, very effective with animals. I know it's very different, than human Reiki. And so we try to educate people as much because this is so powerful with animals. Yeah. They really respond to it. They come to you, they show you how much they appreciate it. And it's about respecting them as these sentient beings. They know what they need. We always think, oh, I'm the human, I know. But really, for spiritual development, animals are up here and we're kind of down here. And if we just open ourselves, get rid of the ego, be humble, they'll help bring us up there. And they're willing to do that.
Yeah. It's sort of like a pharmacognosis, that the animal knows more than we do. And at the stage that we are in as a species, the humankind, we are every day more far away from the wisdom of nature, of life itself. So if we observe, like putting in what I understood, what I took got from your message, you be there, be calm, be neutral, and perceive, observe, go beyond what is obvious, this illness or this pain or whatever, and just focus on the whole thing of what really is alive, like what's behind the dress that they're wearing as an animal, and we as humans. But when the difference that you showed me, it really makes all the sense, because we humans, we go, we plan it, we know what we are going for, and we are willing to, and we make the time, set an appointment, and we go, and it's like going to the grocery store. It's one more thing that you're doing on your list. But since they don't live like we do, fortunately, yeah. they show us that life is just what comes. However, whenever, wherever, that's life. And you're there and trying to be part of, momentarily, of that life, bringing something that the animal can absorb or can integrate. You are the one integrating to that world that is universal. So it's a very it amazed me, this view, this different view when we try to heal or help an animal, not be invasive, not to imprint our information over them.
Yes, that is a beautiful way to say it. Absolutely beautiful. And that's exactly right. That's what we're trying to do,
Yes, in medicine, in behavior, all we do, as we the education, the system education system, the training systems. We're just translating or transpassing our world into them, and their world it's a genuine world. It's the life itself.
Yeah.
And we changed everything thinking that it's the best, not even us, and therefore must be the best for the others,
Right.
without knowing or ignoring that they are different than us. We are all animals, but there are other species than us, and their necessities and their needs, their priorities, their what they like is different for everyone.
Mhm. Yes,
So in that,
we've
you don't,
definitely lost track of that.
yeah, yeah. It's a very natural way to not interfere with them, but to include ourselves in their world,
Mhm.
which is for me the best way to close the gap.
Yes, yes. And when we begin to practice this method, this let animals lead method, of animal Reiki meditation, which basically it is meditation. When animals just recognize us then. And it's not like you even have to, oh, I'm going to go and make this connection. And, they recognize you just in your daily life, just as you recognize them in their daily life. And I've had so many experiences. The most powerful one, I think, was I was at a zoo in California. And I had gone with some friends, we were just on a weekend and that we ended up there. And I thought, I need to go see the gorillas. I just need to go. I need to go. And I felt this pull. And they had a very large enclosure. Now, it's not the same as being free. I'm not going to say that it is. But there was a high wall up and they had trees that, and it was big and they were clear in the back and there was dirt under their feet and they had grasses and trees to forage on. And then, like most zoos, they had that little tunnel where people could stand and, look at the animals. So I just knew I had to get right up to that glass and see them. And when I did, all the animals and the silverback, all the apes were clear in the back. I mean, they looked kind of small because they were so far away. And then I saw why, because all these people in this little tunnel were mocking them. They were jumping up and down, scratching their armpits, making ape noises. And I was so upset. And I was so angry. And I couldn't believe that I was part of the same species. And I thought, why did I come here? They're going to think I'm one of them. And I got to get out of here. And I made eye contact with the silverback. I'm not really sure how that happened because he was a long ways away, but I know I made eye contact with him. So I broke it right away because I didn't want to come across as being aggressive. But as soon as I did that, he stood up and he began coming down towards me. And he walked up, he was walking directly towards me. And then, of course, the closer he got, the more obnoxious everybody became. And I was so angry, so upset. And I'm just like this emotion. I'm feeling guilty and I'm angry and I'm like, oh my gosh. And I'm standing there and he just kept coming closer and closer until he was directly in front of me. And then he just turned around, sat down and leaned back against the glass, still in front of me. And I realized in that moment, everybody dissipated. All those other people, they just melted away. I wasn't even aware of them anymore. It was just him and me in that moment. And he didn't see him. He didn't care. He was just like, but he saw me. He recognized the difference. And this was years ago. And it's still so powerful with me. That moment, that connection that I made, that he chose to make. He just saw who I was and I saw who he was. So beautiful things really happen when we begin to honor animals with this method. I can't even say enough about how it can just transform everything.
It feels very powerful and natural at the same time. But it's our disconnection that doesn't allow us to be there in that place.
Yes.
So the few moments or the longer moments that we can take to be more connected, or start at a point and make it grow and make it sort of like a habit, something that it's really part of your life, because it is. That we don't see it and we don't do it, it's a different story. But the more we try to resemble them, the better we are.
Mhm. That is so true. It's so true.
Like, yeah, for me, it's like an honor to be close to an animal that wants to be close to you.
Yes.
Mm.
It makes us a better person. It really does. And we find more peace and joy in our life. You know, the fact that we're so angry, so many people in the world are angry and fighting, and that's all brought on by us. You know, it's,
No.
but if we
Yeah.
can get back to being with the animals and honoring and listening to how they live.
Mm. Yeah, and our noise, we are really noisy. We became a very noisy species. I mean, if from being from kids, I mean, we are always either talking or yelling or screaming or something, making some kind of noise that is, it should be like annoying for all nature.
Mm-hmm.
Because you go into nature and there is like a symphony playing that no one overlaps anyone. No, they're all coexist at the same time, and us is like, I can yell louder. No, I can yell louder, and the volume goes up and up and up and up, and we never shut up. Not our mouths, not our minds, not our actions. And the example, it's all around us.
Yeah.
We all can be together without interfering unless it's necessary between one another.
Mm-hmm. I think that's beautiful. And yeah, and animals, they love it when we do that and we hold space for them, and they love to come in and, you know, take a moment and just let their body heal itself. Let their mind rest, their body rest. So there is a difference, definitely a difference. And I do, you know, like I said, I've studied with many different teachers. I've done the human Reiki, you know, the animal Reiki version, the let animals lead. And I've just seen the difference in how animals respond.
Yep, it's clear. It's because it's natural. That's it, you're becoming.
Yes.
Not imposing.
Yes. You become Reiki in their presence, and what they decide to do with it, you respect whatever decision they make. It's not forced on them at all.
You become Reiki. I love that. Yeah. Well, it's so wonderful to have talked to you today. I didn't.
Yes, I'm so glad you were able to come on, and that it was just us. This was nice.
Yes, yes. Everything happens for something else to happen.
Yes, absolutely. And we got like 5 minutes. So what we usually do is end with a meditation. So if you don't have any other questions, if you do, we'll answer them. But if not, we'll just do a quick little meditation to start our.
Great.
All right. So we just
Great.
want to sit with our spine straight, but not uncomfortable. Go ahead and close your eyes, and then go ahead and put your hands in what we call gassho, or the prayer position. And let's just set our intention to practice this meditation, to calm ourselves, and to offer this energy that we're about to create for the good of any animal that would like to accept it. And now you can go ahead and place your hands in your lap, palm up, palm down, whatever's comfortable for you. And begin by taking a breath in through your nose and pull it all the way down to your belly, the Hara energy center, which is just below your belly button. Really feel that belly. And then as you exhale, feel this breath of light just come back out, go out through your skin and your hands into the space around you. Take another breath in. You're breathing in this beautiful healing energy of the universe, this light, and you're pulling it all the way down to the belly. And then as you exhale, this beautiful light comes back out through your breath, your skin, your hands, into the space around you. Take another breath in, breathing in that beautiful light. And as it travels down to the belly, it illuminates every cell in your body. Just fill your belly. And then exhale this beautiful light back out into the space around you. Take another breath in, breathing in the light, pulling it down to the belly. And exhale this light back out into the space around you. Breathe in. And exhale out. With every exhale, the space is growing larger and larger. Breathe in. And exhale out. And now just let your breath find a natural rhythm. And place your focus on your heart center. And if you want to, you can just lightly touch your heart center. And visualize all this energy, this bright light shining from your heart. It's just building up in your heart center. It's growing brighter and larger until this center can no longer hold all this beautiful energy, and it unfolds and opens like a flower blossoms. And like a bloom, it just opens up gently, and this light shines out. Just visualize this beam of light coming from your heart, and invite any animal that would like to step into this light to do so now. Whatever they decide is perfect. However they decide to participate is perfect. And as we view them, we see their bright light, and we know all is well. And just silently repeat, all is well, to yourself. All is well. All is well. All is well. Just hold that beautiful space for the animal. This connection you're making where you're becoming one with them. And now go ahead and put your hands back in the Gaso or prayer position. Thank whoever showed up to participate with you. However they participated is fine. Take another deep breath in, a cleansing breath all the way down to the hara. And then exhale and relax. Feel yourself becoming aware of your body and the room you're in. And when you're ready, go ahead and open your eyes.